Welcome to this explainer. It's so easy to walk past a stunning, gleaming five-star luxury hotel and just think, oh, it's just standard commercial real estate, right? But honestly, treating luxury hospitality like just another property is a fast track to getting completely blindsided. Today, we're going to dive deep into exactly how you underwrite these incredibly high volatility assets. Let's completely shatter that misconception and shift how we look at this asset class. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the Nightly Lease Reset, move into a living, breathing business, then mastering hospitality KPIs, franchising versus management, and finally wrap it up with the seasonality risk checklist. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the Nightly Lease Reset. So if you're used to traditional commercial real estate, office buildings, retail spaces, industrial warehouses, you are used to underwriting long, multi-year, or even decade-long leases. I mean, if a tenant signs an 8-year office lease, you can basically sleep soundly. Your cash flow is locked in, it's super predictable, and it's shielded from minor economic bumps. Plus, your expenses are largely fixed. But hospitality, it flips that entire model completely upside down. In hospitality, your leases are exactly one night long. What you've got is this dynamic 24/7 operating engine where your inventory literally resets every single sunrise. Section 2, a living, breathing business. Take a second to think about this quote. An unbooked hotel room is a perishable good. If an apartment sits empty for a week, well, it's a lost opportunity, sure, but the overall annual lease value is still pretty stable once it's filled. But a hotel room? It's way more like rotting fruit at a grocery store. Once the sun comes up, that potential revenue has literally perished. It's gone forever. You can never, ever get yesterday's room revenue back. And because of that extreme perishability, combined with these massive variable costs, we're talking housekeeping, laundry, utilities, guest services, a hotel's valuation sustains much higher volatility than long-term leased assets. This rapid nightly turnover means hospitality responds instantly to market forces. If inflation spikes, or say a massive convention rolls into town, you can raise your rates by nightfall. But on the flip side, if the market suddenly dips, your vacancy spikes immediately. There are absolutely no long-term contracts there to protect your cash flow. Section 3, mastering hospitality KPIs. So how do professionals measure this heartbeat? To successfully underwrite a hotel, you really have to master 3 foundational metrics that function sort of like a chain reaction. The very first one is your occupancy rate. Really simple concept here, it's just the volume of rooms you actually sold divided by the total number of rooms available. It simply shows you exactly how full the building is over a specific period. The second metric is the average daily rate, or ADR. This is the average rental income per paid occupied room per day, and the absolute key word here is paid. When you're running the math, ADR strictly measures the paid rooms. It intentionally excludes any empty rooms, and it completely ignores complimentary staff rooms. It's strictly your room revenue divided by the actual number of rooms sold. Now we bring those two together to find the absolute holy grail of hospitality metrics, RevPAR, or revenue per available room. You calculate this by multiplying your ADR by your occupancy rate. RevPAR is, without a doubt, the single most important metric in hospitality. Why? Because it blends your pricing power, that's the ADR, with your volume, the occupancy. It gives you this incredibly accurate, totally unfiltered picture of your overall performance across the entire inventory. Now, what's really interesting about this is the nuance. Let's look at 2 totally different scenarios that actually give you the exact same RevPAR of $300. The first scenario hits that by running at 100% occupancy with a $300 average daily rate. The second scenario achieves this by running at only 50% occupancy, but charging a $600 average daily rate. Both generate the exact same top-line RevPAR. So, which of these identical RevPAR scenarios do you think is actually better? If you guessed the second one, you are absolutely right. It all comes down to extreme operating leverage. See, pushing for 100% occupancy means massive variable costs. You've got way more laundry, skyrocketing utilities, way more housekeeping staff on the clock, and incredibly fast wear and tear on those ridiculously expensive luxury carpets. All of that just eats right into your profits. So having a higher ADR with just a moderate occupancy, that actually yields much cleaner, healthier profit margins. Section 4, franchising versus management. If the risks and operations are this intense, who actually runs the place?
Well, first up, we have hotel management agreements, or HMAs. Under an HMA, you basically hire a major brand, think like a Four Seasons or a Marriott, to manage the day-to-day business. They hire the staff, they run the property, but you, as the owner, hold all the financial risk. You'll typically pay a base management fee of about 2% to 4% of gross revenue, which they collect no matter what, even if the hotel isn't profitable. Then there's an incentive fee of 10 to 20% of the adjusted gross operating profit, designed to align their interests with yours. And finally, you absolutely have to deduct a mandatory FF&E reserve. That's furniture, fixtures, and equipment. Because luxury items degrade so quickly, you are setting aside 4% to 5% of your gross revenue every single year just to replace things like beds and carpets.
Now contrast that with the franchise model. Here, you're really just buying the right to use a major brand's name, their tech, and their global reservation system. You pay a royalty fee of around 46% plus marketing and system fees, pushing total brand costs to about 10% to 12% of room revenue. But here is the massive underwriting benefit. Under a franchise, you can hire a highly efficient, independent third-party manager. This gives you much tighter operational control to ruthlessly cut operational waste way faster than a major brand manager might under a super rigid HMA.
Section 5, the Seasonality Risk Checklist. Because our leases reset nightly, seasonal cash crunches can cause technical defaults for underwriters who only look at annualized numbers.
Check out this number, 80%. A luxury resort might literally make 80% of its entire annual profit in a single quarter, like Q1, and then run at a total operating loss in Q3. It is an extreme swing, and this proves exactly why we absolutely must stress test the extremes. So this matrix walks through exactly how professionals bulletproof an asset against those dry spells. For working capital, you require a pre-funded operating loss reserve equal to 1.5 times the projected off-season deficit. You are literally stockpiling cash buffers. For labor, you make sure at least 40% of your total hotel staff is scalable or variable, so you can easily scale down during those low occupancy months. For debt, you match your debt service against monthly cash flow. That means negotiating seasonal debt structures or holding 6 months of principal and interest in reserve. And for non-room revenue, you underwrite your food and beverage and spa margins incredibly conservatively, relying heavily on local marketing to draw in non-hotel guests when room counts drop. Which leaves us with this powerful final question. When underwriting luxury hospitality, are you pricing a physical property or a living business? The answer is undeniably the latter. You are pricing a dynamic living business first and a physical property second. Always underwrite the operator's execution and those seasonal extremes just as heavily as the real estate itself. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. It's absolutely changed how I view that gleaming luxury hotel down the street, and I hope it keeps you eager to explore more of the hidden mechanics behind real estate.